I'm working on. My buddy Tony gave me a older hen, so I'm mating that up to a pure white cock satinet. I'll breed out of them, and I got one pair of satinets on eggs. So if I do one round, that's enough because that'll give me what do I got? I got 4, 5, 6. I'll have 8. I'll have 8 droppers, and that's enough for racing season. I don't need more than 8 droppers.
So I know Rich was asking me not too long ago for droppers. What's he use? He currently has some old German owls. But I mean, what are some other common breeds? What
German owls are great. Yeah, German owls are good. Are good. You could use tumbler heads. You know, the old, if you can get your hands on them, they're hard to get, but the tumblers are good. But really, the biggest thing right now is the satinets or the turbits. You know, that's what a lot of guys strive on. That they're great because they just do what they need to do. Man, you just toss them up and they go.
When you say turbits, you mean helmets, right?
No, turbits. So the turbot, yeah, the turbot looks like a satinet. Yeah, they're very very similar to each other.
Oh,
They're
okay.
a little bit different on the body style, but overall they're very very close with each other.
Yeah, okay, so I see that right now.
So if you do a side by side of a satinet and a turbot, there's really not much difference on them.
This is a turbot right here, Rich. So what about I spoke to Stan, right, when I did the interview, and he uses helmets. He likes to use helmets.
Yeah, you could use helmets. The reason helmets are good too. Guys like to use the helmets because their bodies are pretty much primarily white. So that's why the white is where you want to go. When the homers are coming home from a race, they spot that white right out. It's glittery. Yeah, they spot it, and that's what they want to see.
Exactly. Okay. Cool.
I had remember I told you I had the nuns. I tried them out, and unfortunately, they didn't work well for me because they were just a little too big, and they wanted to fly up. I felt like I couldn't train them well enough. They weren't ideal for what I needed for racing. So I felt that the satinets really gave me the production that I needed last year. They performed exactly the way I wanted them to. Every time I tossed them to the loft, they did exactly what I needed them to do. They didn't take off. They just hit the board, brought the homers down, and that's exactly what you want them to do.
Got it. And you don't really worry too much about like the Hawks and Falcons with them out when you're using them as droppers.
No, because once you're in racing season, the Hawk season's pretty much winding down. They're going to start to migrate and start to breed themselves. So listen, anything could happen, but I feel like once the racing season starts, you got to remember one thing: pure racing doesn't start until August. First, young birds don't race until August 28th, which is the last day of the month in August. So, you're training your tricos, your droppers periodically as you're training the homers, but, anything could happen. Something can get picked off. But generally, like I said, if you train them right, they're trained. As soon as I release them, they hit the board and go right through the buck bars and they're in, and that bird's following right behind.
Oh, for the droppers.
Yeah, for the droppers. Yeah, they just hit the board and they run right in. That's how they're trained.
How far away, do you release them from the loft?
About 10 feet, 10, 15 feet away.
Okay.
So that's it. I just
hungry too, right?
Say it again.
You're keeping them hungry too, right?
Oh yeah, Yeah, that's the key with everything. Hunger is the key. You keep anything full, that bird is not going to react to you and listen.
Cool. So, Rich, anything from your end?
I do need droppers. I got some satinets from a guy, and turned out they had coccidiosis. So, I've got one dropper left.
Because you only had the two. You only had the two German, the old German owls, right? And then I guess one flew away, or one died. What happened?
It died.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's I need droppers, and that's why I was really bummed about missing the show out in Lancaster.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry too much. You always have Stan, and there's a few reputable guys in the group that I would probably reach out to and see what they say. Versus buying birds from people that you don't really know.
What is he looking for?
Droppers.
He's open. He's open for droppers. So I guess anything you would suggest or recommend.
What is he? What is
flying
he?
tipplers, and he's
What
just
does he
flying
do?
tipplers
Race?
right now. No, tipplers.
Oh, tipplers. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So if you're going to use for tipplers, why is he? Question. Why for tipplers? Why is he using droppers? For what reason?
To pull them in.
To what?
To pull them in when I want to bring them down.
Oh, okay. I've been flying tipplers for 40 years. That's the only reason why I ask. And I've never used a dropper from my tippler. My tipplers are all trained on a whistle.
Oh, okay.
So what you can do, if you want, you can get it from Foyt's, or I don't know where you get your pigeon supplies from, but the Homo training whistle. Okay. You can train your birds very easy on that. It's a red whistle. It's got a little chain that goes on it. The key is starving your birds. My tipplets, I've never used a dropper for them. When I want them to come down, I blow that whistle, the whole stock is going to drop. And that's all done by years and years of training with them. I've never once put a dropper to pull my tipplers down.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, like I said, generally the tipplers are used. I mean, generally the droppers are used for the homers because you're working on speed and timing. That's the key for the droppers for the homers. But to have droppers for tipplers, you could use anything. You could actually use a tiplet for a dropper if you wanted to. That one that didn't fly that well. You don't have to go crazy and invested money into buying yourself a bird that doesn't fly. You could just use a tippler. If you have an extra tippler, all you got to do is just cut the 9th, the 10th, and the 8th tip, cut it in half on there, and that bird won't be able to fly. It'll just be able to flutter.
That's something I never thought about. Yeah, I'm all new to this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Rich just started, I want to say, last year. He's only had like maybe half a year, 6 months.
I
Yeah,
think
so
I
what
got
you
my
could-
birds in May.
Okay, so Rich, what you can do, I'll tell you right now, the key is starvation. Don't be afraid and don't say, "Oh, I feel bad." Okay, your birds will only respond to you if they're hungry. When you overfeed a bird or a bird has too much food in them, you lose control of that pigeon. Just so you know. So if you have new birds, okay, anytime I have new birds, and I want to let something out, that bird will not eat for a day and a half before I let that bird out. Because if I let that bird out with any food in them, I got no control over that bird.
Well, they do need fuel, right?
Yeah, but they don't need fuel when they're first going out. You don't want them doing much. You want them learning the loft. That's the key. So
Okay.
when you're first starting off, you don't want those birds to be flying and going all over the place. You want the birds to settle, sit on the loft, get to know their area, and then once you establish your birds are flying, then you just you moderate the feeding. You don't overfeed your birds. You should put enough inside. So always remember one thing: one pigeon, 2 ounces of feed. That's all a pigeon needs is 2 ounces of feed per bird. So whatever birds you got, I don't know how many pigeons you have, you measure that out, and that's it. If you put that into a cup and they don't eat, okay, and they eat it all, that's it. There's no reason to be giving them more. The more if you're feeding your pigeons, okay, and you see that the trough or whatever you're feeding them in is still full or still has feed in it after they all went down, that means you're giving your birds way too much food.
No, it's always empty. Are we
Perfect.
talking a fluid ounce or an ounce in weight?
An ounce in weight. Fluid ounce, like a measuring cup. You know, like
Okay.
the spoons that say 1 ounce, 2 ounces.
All right. So an 8-ounce
Yeah.
cup for 8 birds.
That's correct. Yep, that's correct, sir. Yep, you do that, and that's the key. You listen. You know that you're going to let the birds. If you're just starting out and you're going to let them out, don't feed them the day before. It's not going to hurt them. That's control. You want them, when you go there, you want them to listen to you. You blow the whistle, and I only use that whistle only when I'm feeding only. Otherwise, that whistle never gets blown. So then they start to learn, oh, Rich is blowing the whistle. It's feeding time. And once you do that repetitively, these birds know every time it's feeding time, every time that whistle, they'll listen to everything you want them to do.
And that's what I've been doing, whistling.
Yep, that's it. And they'll do it. I train them on the Homo whistle, so because it's nice, it's got a nice high pitched sound. And like I said, I could whistle myself, but I prefer to use that device because it's got a high pitch. So when I'm racing and those birds are up there, they hear that whistle super, super loud. They get ready to start folding their wings and get in.
Yeah, I might actually be underfeeding my birds.
Say it again, sir.
I might be underfeeding my birds.
And why do you say that?
I've got 19 birds and I'm giving them 12 ounces of feed.
12 ounces of feed, 19 birds. Yeah, you can give them a little bit more than that. That's a little. Now, let me ask you a question. When you go in there, are they opening their wings when you're getting ready to feed them?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Yeah. They. All right. So then you're underfeeding them. Then they're starving.
Okay.
Okay. When you go into, if you go into a loft, like I just fed my tiplets, so my tiplets eat once a day or on that. So they eat, depending on your schedule, mine eat every night. Okay. So what I give mine is Versalaga makes a feed scooper. It's a red scooper. Mine so I'll give you an example. It's a red, I don't know how much, I don't know what the ounces is on it, but it's a red scooper by Versalaga. And my birds get that filled to the top, and I'm feeding 65 birds. And when I'm done, there's no feed in there. That's it. So what happens is if a couple are a little hungry, it is what it is. But when I put that feed in, nobody's got their wings up in the air. They just walk over and they're eating, but I'm still able to control.
But you know what it is, Kevin? When Rich was training his birds in the beginning, a few of the birds would not want to trap instantly. They would just kind of bum around and hang out. That's why we were under the impression they were overfed. They weren't trapping as fast as we wanted them to.
Well, when the birds are not trapping, that means that they're overfed. So if you want to get them in, keep them hungry. That bird will run right through that trap door.
Okay.
Yep. If a bird has a food in the crop, then the bird is not going to respond to you because the bird's full. He's saying, "Wait a minute, I don't need to listen. There's no reason for me to rush into the coop. The only reason why they rush into the coop is because they want to go and eat."
All right. I appreciate that, Kevin.
Yeah, no. So like I said, but on a dropper, I wouldn't go crazy. Like I said, that's up to your discretion. If you want one to, and you feel that it's going to help you, you could use anything for a tiplet. But generally, you shouldn't need droppers for tiplets. They should just automatically, once they do their fly, come down. And it all depends on how long you want them to fly for too. Me personally, I'm not into having my birds fly 3-4 hours. That's not enjoyable to me. I'm a type of flyer where I want to see at least 30 minutes to 45 minutes. But when my birds are flying, they're not gliding. They're flying on the wing. So they're moving the whole time. There's no gliding around the sky, hanging up. They're flying like homers. They're moving.
Yeah, right now I'm just flying.
Okay.
That's it.
So yeah, you enjoy, like I said, everybody, enjoys different things. But like I said, if for a Chico for tiplets, you can use anything. You could use a helmet, you could use a turbot, you could use a satinet. That's if you want to have something just to throw up. You could even use one of your tiplets that don't fly good. Just cut the tips, cut them. What do you call it? Cut them halfway down. Cut the 9th, the 10th, and the 8th on both sides. Cut them halfway down. That's going to limit the bird from flying.
Okay.
Yeah, so I guess it just comes down to your personal preference on what you find most attractive, what kind of bird, fancy bird that you want to use as a dropper.
Yeah, it's just all personal preference. Like Shiv said, it's just whatever you decide that's going to make you happy and you're content with. That's really what works best for you.
All right.
And then, like I said, the key is, which I always tell everybody, we all love them and everything. Biggest thing, don't overcrowd.
Yeah. Yeah. I've got room for like 50 birds in there.
Oh, okay, good. Because we all know once you overcrowd, what does that do? It cuts down the health on the birds, and then you run into big problems.